What if the greatest empire in human history was built on a truth the world was never meant to see? They told us Rome was glorious. They told us Rome was eternal. But they never told you what really happened inside the walls where power was born and civilizations were broken. Because buried under the myths, hidden beneath the legends, lies a story far more brutal, far more human, and far more terrifying. This is Rome, and this is the truth they tried to erase. 28 centuries ago, long before marble palaces and golden laurel crowns, there was only a river, a hill, and a handful of desperate people. Today, they call it the Eternal City. But in its beginning, Rome was fragile, vulnerable, a place where survival was a daily struggle. History remembers the kings, the generals, the emperors, but it forgets the mud, the hunger, the fear. And yet, from this fragile beginning grew a power that would shape the destiny of the world. But the road to greatness began with blood. This was not a peaceful world. Italy was a battlefield long before Rome became one. This environment forged a certain kind of people, hard, disciplined, relentless. And Rome's first leaders understood something most tribes never realized. Romulus wasn't a mythical hero. He was a war chief, leading refugees, criminals, and exiles, and shaping them into something new, a disciplined community. Rome wasn't built only by swords, but by systems. Violence wasn't optional. It was policy. But removing the king didn't remove the ambition for power. It only changed its shape. The Republic was a masterpiece of control, but control is fragile. When laws had to be carved into bronze to protect the poor, you know the system was already cracking. And soon, the outside world came knocking. Rome was learning from every defeat and evolving faster than any enemy could predict. Not the sword, not the shield, not the legion, but something far more dangerous: integration. Conquer a tribe, give them partial citizenship. Conquer a region, let them join the army. Conquer a city, absorb their gods, language, workers. Rome didn't just conquer lands. Rome consumed them. But the moment Rome tasted global power, everything changed. No other nation adapted this fast. Snow whirls across the Alps. Elephants push through ice storms. Rome had never seen death on this scale. And yet, the Republic refused to die. But victory has a cost, and Rome was about to pay it.
Rome defeated Carthage, and in doing so, Rome defeated the last real rival of the West. The camera shifts to burned Carthaginian ruins, scorched earth, blackened stones. Modern archaeology confirms layers of ash across Carthage's harbor, destroyed temples, collapsed granaries. But a victorious republic is a dangerous thing, because victory brings wealth, and wealth brings corruption. Rome flooded with African grain, Spanish silver, Greek slaves, Eastern luxuries. Slave labor replaced free Roman farmers. Mansions replaced family farms. Senators replaced public servants. Narrator: the same system that made Rome powerful began to poison it from within. And the first cracks did not come from foreign armies, but from Rome's own citizens. Zoom to the Forum, crowded, chaotic, noisy. Two brothers rise, Tiberius Gracchus and Gaius Gracchus, both elected tribunes of the people. Their mission: restore land to the poor, limit the power of the rich, break elite monopolies. But the Senate saw them as a threat. Ancient author Plutarch describes the scene vividly. The senators gathered armed supporters. They rushed the Forum. Tiberius was clubbed to death with broken wooden benches. A few years later, Gaius was hunted through the streets, cornered on a bridge, and killed. Narrator: when reform becomes rebellion, and rebellion becomes murder, you know a republic is dying. Many hook, and Rome had not even seen the bloodiest part yet. Two generals rise: Gaius Marius, warrior of the people; Lucius Cornelius Sulla, champion of the elites. Their rivalry unleashed a nightmare Rome had never seen before. Armies marching on their own capital, Roman killing Roman, prescriptions, lists of people to be executed, property seizures, public assassinations, political revenge on an industrial scale. Narrator: for the first time in history, Roman legions were loyal not to Rome, but to powerful men. This changes everything. The Republic's greatest weakness is exposed. Whoever controls the army controls the state. Many hook, and a young man was watching, learning, waiting. A shadow steps into the dim light. Narrator whispers, and his name was Gaius Julius Caesar. Caesar came from an old but declining aristocratic family. He was ambitious, brilliant, charismatic, unstoppable. Historians like Suetonius and Plutarch describe him as master orator, political genius, military revolutionary, ruthlessly determined. But his real transformation came from one place, Gaul. Gaul was a land of tribes, warriors, forests, and fierce independence. Modern archaeology confirms his campaigns through fortifications at Alesia, mass graves with Celtic and Roman weapons, coin hoards buried during wartime, siege works matching Caesar's own writings. Narrator, he didn't just conquer Gaul, he reshaped Rome. His victories made him richer and more loved than any Roman before him. His soldiers worshipped him, the people adored him, the Senate feared him. Many hook, and fear is the spark that ignites political murder. The Senate commanded Caesar to disband his army. He refused. On a cold winter night in 49 BCE, Caesar marched his legion to a quiet river in northern Italy, the Rubicon. The moon hangs over the water. The soldiers wait breathlessly. Caesar looks back once, then steps forward. Narrator, and in that moment, the Roman Republic ended. Because crossing the Rubicon meant only one thing: civil war. Caesar versus Pompey, brother versus brother, Senate versus people, old Rome versus new Rome. Battles explode. Pharsalus, Caesar wins, Egypt. Caesar meets Cleopatra, Asia Minor. Veni, Vidi, Vici, North Africa. Final eradication of opponents, Spain. Last resistance crushed. Narrator, with every victory, Caesar's shadow grew longer and the Republic's hope grew dimmer. Finally, Caesar returns to Rome as dictator for life. He begins reforms: debt relief, calendar reform, expanding Senate, rebuilding Rome, stabilizing provinces. But to the Senate, one thing mattered. He held too much power, too much loyalty, too much of Rome. Many hook, and so the knives were sharpened. March 15th, 44 BC. The Ides of March. The Senate meets inside the theater of Pompey. Torches flicker. Whispered voices echo. Caesar enters. Dozens of senators surround him. Ancient accounts describe 23 stab wounds, blood pooled on marble, Caesar falling beneath Pompey's statue. Narrator, they killed him to save the Republic. But by killing him, they destroyed it. Rome fell into chaos once again. Many hook, but a new force rose from the ashes, and he would change history forever. Caesar's heir, a quiet, intelligent 18-year-old named Octavian. Everyone underestimated him. Everyone was wrong. Through political genius, propaganda, alliances, and military brilliance, Octavian outmaneuvered the Senate, eliminated rivals, defeated Caesar's assassins, broke with Mark Antony, crushed Antony and Cleopatra at Actium. Narrator, and from the ruins of the Republic rose the Roman Empire. In 27 BCE, Octavian becomes Imperator Caesar Augustus, Rome's first emperor. Augustus rewrites Rome: professional standing army, Praetorian Guard, imperial provinces, massive construction projects, moral reforms, census and taxation systems, stable trade routes. Romans called it Pax Romana, the Roman peace. But the truth? It was peace built on fear, surveillance, brutal suppression, tight control of governors, propaganda machines. Narrator, Rome entered its golden age by hiding its iron fist. Many hook, but even golden ages cast long shadows. Augustus built the empire, but no one could control what came after him. The empire was now a machine, a massive, glittering, unstoppable machine, but held together by one man, the emperor. And emperors are mortal. The Senate tried to maintain balance. But the truth? Power had already shifted forever into the hands of one throne. And when the throne is unstable, the world trembles with it. Tiberius was brilliant, a military mind, but cold, isolated, distrustful. Ancient historian Tacitus describes him like a shadow, withdrawing from public life, hiding on the island of Capri, leaving Rome in the hands of a corrupt prefect named Sejanus. Sejanus executed rivals, framed senators, manipulated trials. Rome lived in fear. The empire was rich, but its heart was rotting. Then came the emperor whose name still echoes through history, Caligula. Modern scholarship suggests he suffered from brain fever, extreme trauma, possible neurological collapse. But ancient writers describe something more terrifying: ordering worship of himself, walking across the palace insulting senators, executing nobles for amusement, bankrupting the treasury, declaring war on the sea. When a madman sits on the throne, madness becomes law. His reign ended with his own guards assassinating him. But this assassination exposed the empire's worst weakness. The Praetorian Guard, the emperor's bodyguards, now understood they could make and unmake emperors. And they were just getting started. Nero's reign marks one of the darkest political periods in Rome. Great Fire of Rome, persecution of Christians, economic crisis, paranoia, executions of senators, nobles, even his own mother. Modern archaeology confirms the fire's scale. Entire districts reduced to ash. Charred ceramics, melted glass, collapsed brick walls preserved under later reconstruction. But the fire wasn't the worst thing Nero did. The worst thing was destroying trust. Eventually, governors rebelled. Legions declared a new emperor. Nero fled and died alone. Rome entered chaos. For emperors rise and fall in just 1 year: Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian. Rome was no longer ruled by bloodline, but by whoever the army loved most. This moment is critical. The military now controls political fate. The Senate becomes decoration. The empire becomes unstable at its core. And yet, Rome was still far from its darkest hour. For a while, Rome finds stability under Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, Marcus Aurelius. This era, the 5 good emperors, creates peace, prosperity, and expansion. Under Trajan, Rome reaches its largest size in history. Under Hadrian, the border walls fortify an empire too big to grow further. Under Marcus Aurelius, philosophy becomes law. But beneath the beauty, something malignant begins. Because Marcus Aurelius does something fatal. He breaks the tradition of adopting the best successor. He chooses his own son, a young man named Commodus. And with Commodus, the nightmare returns. Commodus was not a soldier, not a statesman, not a leader. He liked arena fights, gladiator costumes, worshiping his own image, public shows. When he fought in the arena, he demanded applause and executed anyone who mocked him. His paranoia led to purges, political assassinations, executions. Eventually, he was strangled in his bath. Rome survived Commodus once, but it wouldn't survive the next wave. From 235 to 284 CE, Rome enters its most catastrophic period. 26 emperors in 49 years. Almost all died violently. Germanic invasions, Persian invasions, economic collapse, hyperinflation, plague killing millions, famine, desertion in the legions, civil wars everywhere. This wasn't decline. This was disintegration. Archaeology supports this fully. Abandoned Roman fortresses along the Rhine, coin hoards buried out of fear, plague pits containing thousands, destroyed border towns, collapsed villa economies. Rome almost died here, but one man held the empire together with sheer force. Aurelian, a soldier emperor, did the impossible, reunited the breakaway Gallic Empire, defeated the Palmyrene Empire, restored the eastern provinces, pushed back barbarians, fortified Rome with the massive Aurelian walls. He saved Rome, but he couldn't save its future. He was assassinated by his own officers. Diocletian restores some order with tetrarchy, military reforms, economic controls, administrative division. But even he sees the truth. The empire is too big, too unstable, too divided. He splits it permanently. Western Roman Empire, Eastern Roman Empire. Rome is no longer one world, but two, and one of them is doomed. 376 CE. A massive Gothic tribe arrives at the Danube. They are starving, fleeing the Huns. Desperate, Rome lets them in, temporarily. But corrupt Roman officials extort them, starve them, mistreat them. The Goths revolt. This leads to one of the most devastating defeats in Roman history, the Battle of Adrianople. Emperor Valens is killed. The Roman army annihilated. The Eastern legions shattered. Modern excavations show mass graves, broken armor, burned weapons, arrows clustered around fallen cavalry. This wasn't a battle. It was a warning. Rome ignored the warning. Alaric, king of the Visigoths, marches on Rome. Starvation grips the city. Bodies lie in the streets. Gates are opened. For the first time in 800 years, Rome falls. Augustine writes, "The city that ruled the world lies in ruins." But even this was not the end. Because the Western Empire still limps on, weakened, fragmented, dying slowly. A child sits on the throne. His name, Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor of the West. A Germanic general named Odoacer removes him and sends the imperial insignia to Constantinople. And with that, the Western Roman Empire ended. Not with a grand final battle, but with a whisper.
Rome was no longer just a republic of citizens. It had become a machine powered by a single man's ambition. And the first man to control that machine was Augustus. But few people know how carefully he changed Rome from the inside, without letting the Romans notice the transformation. He did not call himself king. He did not sit on a golden throne. He simply called himself first citizen. Yet behind that simple title lay the most powerful political network in the ancient world. But that was only the beginning, because the emperors who came after him would shape the empire's fate in unimaginable ways. To the outside world, Rome looked unstoppable. But inside the palace, something rotten had begun. A secret, unspoken truth. Rome's greatest danger was not its enemies. It was its emperors. Tiberius, the paranoid ruler, he started his reign with stability, but ended it with executions, treason trials, and prophetic fear. Ancient historian Tacitus writes that during his final years, Tiberius ruled not Rome, but terror itself. Caligula, Madness crowned infamous for cruelty, instability, and chaos. Caligula's rule exposed something the Senate feared. The emperor had absolute control, even over life and death. Claudius, the underestimated scholar despite being mocked for his appearance. Claudius expanded the empire into Britain. He brought intelligence where chaos had ruled. Nero, the emperor who watched Rome burn, whether he truly sang as the flames rose or whether it was political propaganda, is still debated. But one thing is clear, under Nero, Rome's stability cracked. Few people know what happened next, but Nero's death did not just end a dynasty. It triggered Rome's deadliest political crisis. In 68 AD, the unimaginable happened. Rome had no emperor, only armies, each choosing its own ruler. Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and finally Vespasian. For emperors in 1 year, the empire trembled. For the first time, it became clear the true power of Rome lay not in the Senate, not in the people, but in the legions. Whoever controlled the army controlled the world. But beneath this crisis, something else was happening. Something historians rarely emphasize. Rome was expanding faster than it could control. Under Trajan, the Roman Empire reached its greatest size. From the scorching sands of Arabia to the misty forests of Britain to the icy rivers of the Danube, Rome ruled it all. Massive roads connected thousands of miles. Cities glowed with marble temples, bathhouses, and theaters. Trade brought spices from India, gold from Spain, grain from Egypt. It was the largest superpower the world had ever seen. And yet, success hides weakness. Growth hides cracks. Power hides fear. Rome looked invincible, but inside, it was beginning to suffocate under its own weight. And that's when the hidden truth emerges. A truth that shaped Rome's fall long before the fall ever began. Most documentaries say Rome fell because of barbarians, economy, corruption, Christianity, or military failure. But the true cause started much earlier, much deeper, and it was this. Rome's system was never designed to run an empire, only a city-state. Let that sink in. A republic built for one city was now trying to control millions of people across 3 continents. The Senate was overwhelmed. Governors were corrupt. Tax systems broke down. Laws grew impossible to enforce. Rome became too big, too complex, too divided. This wasn't a collapse. It was a slow, unstoppable unraveling. But the final blow, the one that truly shattered the empire, still hadn't arrived. It was waiting just over the horizon. For centuries, Rome had lived beside tribes it called barbarians. Goths, Vandals, Franks, Saxons. Most of these groups weren't enemies. They were traders, farmers, allies, sometimes even Roman soldiers. But something changed. Far to the east, another force was rising. A storm of warriors, fierce, fast, unstoppable. The Huns. The Huns swept across Europe, destroying everything in their path. Tribes fled toward Roman borders, desperate for safety. And Rome, already stretched thin, had no choice but to let them in. This decision would change history forever. And then came the man who shook the empire to its core, a name still whispered with fear. Attila was not just a warrior. He was a phenomenon. The Romans wrote that wherever he rode, grass never grew again. He attacked cities, burned settlements, demanded gold, enough gold to bankrupt an empire. And although Rome survived Attila, it paid a terrible price. Its treasury was drained, its armies exhausted, its borders crumbling, and its people hopeless. Rome was no longer the hunter. It had become the hunted. But the final collapse, the moment Rome truly fell, came from somewhere no one expected. Not from an enemy, but from within. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Emperor was not a warrior, not a leader, not a statesman. He was a child, Romulus Augustulus, a boy emperor ruling a dying empire. As Germanic warlords marched into Rome, there were no legions left to defend him, no senators willing to sacrifice themselves, no people shouting for Rome's glory. The empire had given up. Odo Acer, a Germanic general, entered the city. He removed the boy from the throne. No bloodshed, no final battle, just a quiet, inevitable ending. And just like that, Rome, the greatest empire in Western history, collapsed. But buried beneath the ruins lies a truth almost forgotten, a truth most people never hear. And that truth changes everything we think we know about Rome. For centuries, storytellers, textbooks, and documentaries have repeated the same tale. Rome fell in 476 AD. A clean ending, a simple date, a neat line in history, but that is not the real story, not even close. Because buried beneath the ruins of the empire, hidden in forgotten manuscripts, and confirmed by modern historians, lies a truth almost no one talks about. Rome didn't fall. Rome transformed and continued to rule the world from the shadows. Let that sink in. The empire that fell in one night never truly died. It simply changed its face. But what if the real Roman Empire never disappeared at all? When the Western Empire collapsed in 476 AD, people imagined darkness swallowing Europe. But what actually happened was far more complex and far more shocking. 1. The Eastern Roman Empire, the so-called Eastern Empire, wasn't Eastern at all. It was Rome. Roman laws, Roman military, Roman emperors, Roman citizens. It survived for almost 1,000 years after the West collapsed. 1,000 years. Meaning, for longer than the Western Roman Empire lived, Rome still ruled the world from Constantinople. But even this isn't the most surprising part. Because Rome's legacy didn't just survive, it infected nations, religions, governments, and empires across the globe. When political Rome collapsed, spiritual Rome rose. The Catholic Church, centered in Rome itself, took over networks, wealth, libraries, diplomats, trade routes, and the administrative system of the old empire. Historians often call it the Ghost Empire. Why? Because the church was not a new institution. It was built on Roman roads, Roman legal structures, Roman governing strategies. The bishops became governors. The Pope became a symbolic emperor. Latin remained the language of power. Through religion, Rome continued to direct the West, and no one questioned it. But there's another layer, one far more political and far more influential. In 800 AD, something extraordinary happened. Charlemagne, king of the Franks, was suddenly crowned Imperator Romanorum, Emperor of the Romans. Think about that. 300 years after Rome fell, Europe resurrected the title of Roman Emperor to legitimize their power. The Holy Roman Empire would last for over 1,000 years. So again, Rome lived on, not as a city, but as an identity, a brand of power, a political birthright. But here comes the part almost no one explains, the part that changes everything. The systems you see today, laws, governments, architecture, political titles, military hierarchy, all trace back to Rome. Senates, republics, civil law, citizenship, bureaucracy, standing armies, city planning, tax systems, national borders, even the layout of Washington D.C. mirrors ancient Roman design. Europe's capitals, Paris, London, Vienna, are built on Roman foundations. Roman law is still taught in European universities. Roman architecture stands in every major Western city. The world we live in today is a Roman invention wearing modern clothes. Rome didn't fall. Rome evolved. Rome became the blueprint of Western civilization. And that leads to one haunting realization, a truth most historians whisper only in academic circles. Rome's body fell in 476 AD, but its mind, its ideas, its systems continue to live through other nations. Some historians even argue that the United States is the modern successor of Rome. Why? A Senate, a republic, an eagle as national symbol, Latin mottos, legal structure, expansion strategy, global influence. America did not copy Rome by accident. It inherited Rome's philosophy, which raises the chilling final question. Rome did not collapse. Rome did not vanish. Rome did not fade into myth. Instead, Rome lives in every government building, every legal system, every Western nation, every page of our history. Its fall was not an end, but a transformation, a rebirth. And if an empire that powerful could hide itself inside the world we know today, what else have they erased from our past? This was Hidden History World, where we uncover the forgotten truths buried beneath time. If this chapter of history reveals how much can be hidden, imagine what else we will discover together. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss the secrets waiting in the shadows.